Okay, welcome everybody to this episode of the engagement series about resources to turn parents into leaders. And I'm going to put up on the screen here some pictures as I commonly do and run this as a PowerPoint slideshow. Tonight's topic is basically identifying how to have a positive legacy, namely succession planning for the future of your pack and your den, so that when you decide to retire and hang it up, that there's a group of people coming after you that can keep the good work going on. Ben, do you want to add any welcome to the group here?
Yep. Thank you, Bert. Just appreciate y'all joining. Stephen, it's good to see you again. Kelly, glad y'all could join us. This is just our effort. Big thanks to Bert, who is the content master and the driving force. But we're trying to make this an effort to train and encourage leaders to take the parents that are sitting in the back of the room or in their car on their cell phones into getting engaged into the den leaders, into not only den leaders, but just helpers. Packs, strong packs are due to a lot of the families helping out and pitching in. So thanks y'all for joining, and I'll turn it back over to Bert.
All right, so let's dive into the idea here. Again, our goal is to get parents from being people who are sitting on the exterior of the pack activity and staring at their phones and getting them hands-on involved with their kids and the other kids in the den and pack. And there's a lot of different ways to get that done. We've got a lot of material on the website that we'll hit at the very end of the day. But today what we're going to do is talk about one aspect of this that ties into our plan, and that is succession planning. Now, I have up here that we have no single silver bullet to allow you to engage parents. We have many arrows that we can use, and succession planning is one of them that ties into a lot of elements of organizing your team, recognizing people who have been leaders and who have stepped up to lead, right-sizing jobs so that people feel they can step in and succeed. Messaging, inviting, asking a person to come on board, and creating a culture that says that if you're in scouting, you're not just dropping off your kid, but you're going to participate. So succession planning, the basic concept is something that we learn in scouting, is the goal is to leave your campsite better than you found it. So we have a lot of great leaders, but one of the things we want to focus on, even if as you're doing a great job leading, is have that legacy so that when you do step back, when you do step down, your pack will continue to thrive. Now, succession planning needs to be more than just saying goodbye to the retiring leader and good luck, we're all counting on you, to the new leader, because you have to be a lot more thoughtful about that if the new leader is going to be successful. I've seen it done well. I've seen it done poorly. I've seen, leaders who have just stepped away and left everybody wondering, now what do we do? And we don't want to feel like we're going to be lucky like Leslie Nielsen on that airplane in the movie Airplane, and that somehow the guy is going to be able to land the plane. But we have to plan. It can't just be, hoping somebody steps up. It can't just be tag you're it, that you need to be the next cub master or den leader or whatever. So a thought of here is a concept of every pack really needs to do kind of a reality check. And I've got this image up here where you might identify who you have on your leader team right now, but you might want to fast forward a little bit into next spring and think about who's left after the fifth graders cross over. I have this image mainly because I was told by a great pack down in Jonesboro that a few years ago, in order to demonstrate to the families in kindergarten through fourth grade, they had, as part of a winter pack event, all of the leaders who were engaged with the pack stand up on stage. And then they had all of the leaders who had fifth grade kids who were then going to step away from the pack and be more involved in the troop. They had them step off the stage, and they found that 3/4 of the leaders had stepped off stage, leaving just a few on the stage to take over the pack. Message: we need people to step up from the K through fourth grade parent teams. And that's one way to message it, but you can also just look at your roster, look at who you have, and think about, where are we going to have gaps? One way to think about that is, when you're recruiting a den leader, are you recruiting a leader forever? Or maybe just for the school year? And maybe it's going to be easier to get somebody to step up and be a leader this school year if they know, this is not den leader forever, but I'm going to be the Tiger Den leader for the 23-24 school year. And the message in that is, then somebody else will need to step up. And so you could recruit people to do 1-year terms, call it term limits if you like, so that people know we're going to have a rotation of people sharing the leadership and making it easier for people to step up, and making it clear that it's not a permanent commitment, that just because you stepped up to be Cub Master when your kid went into the second grade doesn't mean that in 10 years you're going to be Scoutmaster of the troop. So you can look at it also as finding, in the short term, assistants where you do have a den leader, so that you get parents, you recruit parents to step up, be an assistant, and be involved in that way. And ideally, if you have, especially if you have enough assistants, you get one of them to commit to be the den leader next year in the 24-25 school year, and have that legacy continue on. So in a succession plan, one way to look at it is, you got an org chart, and everybody does often fills out an org chart that is focused on what's needed this year. Who do you have lined up in various roles this year? To help fill out a leader team, get assistants for each role, fill out a team so that you may have a membership chair, but also a membership team, a blue and gold chair, but also a blue and gold team, den leaders at all levels, but also assistants, and pencil in somebody to step up to be the leader next year. And so I have the iconic Uncle Sam, I want you to be den leader next year image on the slide here. I also have an image that I saw that I thought was funny, and that is the concept of, throw me to the wolves and I'll return leading the pack. I don't advise that you actually throw people to the wolves. You may get them to be a wolf assistant den leader, and maybe in a year they become a den leader and then do become leading the pack. But we want to be sure that we are not just throwing a name on the org chart, but also maybe a narrative that explains how the job might be done. And now the narrative probably needs to be done in a few different ways. Probably written, probably also in person, maybe also as part of pack orientation. Maybe you could put what your jobs are into a YouTube video that you could share as parents roll into the pack, so that they can hear from like the leaders of your various activity areas, your den leaders, what they love about the job, how they get it done. Because it's one thing to look at the official BSA materials or take official BSA training, but most of us who've been around a while in Cub Scouting are going to realize that you could look at the official materials, but your mental note will be, yeah, we do it a slightly different way, and we would need to explain that to the person who's going to come on board in our role. And you can apply this with respect to event jobs like Pinewood Derby or fall and spring campouts, your Blue and Gold Awards banquet, back to the pack parties, other events that you do, service projects, whatever. One of the things that I loved about recruiting parents in our pack was people would say, well, I really can't be involved in that because I wouldn't know how to lead a Pinewood Derby or a Blue and Gold banquet or a camp out. I've never done it before. And our pitch after the first year or so would be, hey, people, we never had a pack before a few years ago. None of us knew a thing about how to do it. We had to make it up on our own, but now we have plans that we can pass down to you about how to do these roles, how to put on these events, how to be a den leader, and how to do the functional roles that a pack needs, like how we do recruiting, how we organize advancement badge buys and ceremonies and record keeping, how we maintain relationships with our chartered organization, add in fundraising or whatever else your pack needs in order to keep rolling. Now, passing down plans, I will say, is a really good idea, but there's one area where I have to give a warning about next year. Do not have your den leaders be super helpful and say to the succeeding den leader, here's what I did in whatever rank they were leading in the 23-24 school year. And the reason is the requirements are going to change. So the third grade den leader who next year is a Weeblo's den leader and passes down his plans for the Bear Necessities adventure in the Bear rank isn't really doing anybody any favor, because there's going to be a different adventure called Bear Habitat. Do we know what is the details of that are yet? No, we don't. Will we soon? Sometime in the spring. So be careful about that. And I say that as somebody who was a committee chair who had to explain even a year and a half ago to a fifth grade Arrow of Light den leader, no, your kids don't need to earn the Weeblo's badge to earn the Arrow of Light, because people will get it in their head that the way they did it when they were a den leader is the way that they need to do it. And the next person needs to do it. So be sure that you're passing on accurate information. Now, a lot of events like campouts and the like, the basic organizational ideas are going to be great. And another thought about that is it's always good to have what I call an after action plan, where you write down how you would have done it better if you were to do it again the next weekend. And I see, Stephen, you flagged that you could pass down what you did last year, but the requirements are changing. And that is a good idea, but it's super important to remember to be sure they get that information about what the requirements are. In my experience, you could bring in Robert Baden-Powell to say, this is the new Bear Habitat adventure requirement plan, and somebody is more likely to believe their friend who is in the school with them, who says, this is what I did for Bear Necessities. That you just end up believing the person that you know more than the person who may know more about the activity. Other ideas in the concept of getting a succession plan, a leader should spend a lot of time coaching parents on how they can lead. It's the concept of, if you give a parent a fish, they'll eat for a day. But if you teach a parent to fish, they'll eat forever. So if you give a parent a cub program, their kids will have cub program for a day. But if you teach them how to lead cub program, they can do it again and again and again and again. And the more you fill your pack with people who know how to do that, the better it's going to be. And yes, you're the best leader right now. Nobody's done it better, but we are better off if we let others take the lead. One tip I have about this, I think it worked in my situation, and I recommend it to others, is to quit while you're ahead. And so what I did, I'd actually been Cub Master for more than 2 years because I had two kids who were 2 years apart. But when my youngest was rising into the 4th grade, I quit. I said, I'm no longer Cub Master. I did say I'm going to be assistant Cub Master. And then we went through the process of recruiting the replacement Cub Master who could be supported by me as an assistant and supported by a variety of other people who took on other jobs that I had shed because I was doing too much as Cub Master. And we got that much more normalized with a team of leaders, with a strong committee chair, a Cub Master who literally, he stepped in and he was just the master of ceremonies at PAC events. But the bottom line is that's what a Cub Master does. Cub Master doesn't have to do anything. So we had other people doing advancement and doing fundraising and doing the recruitment and other activities. So you can have more impact if you do that and you're still around as an assistant than you can if you are looking from across the way moving into a troop. And we all think and know that, yeah, we are the best. We are Superman. But the key is, are we bringing others behind us who will be able to lead? Because that's what we should really be all about if we're going to be building stronger families through scouting. We should be making men and women of steel to lead their kids and get things done. Other thoughts. I've got the idea here about a possible committee role. You know, you have, I think, in a PAC committee or a troop committee, the concept that, you know, the committee chair is ultimately responsible for organizing recruitment efforts, but you could create a role that I call like a recruiting navigator who's finding those future leaders, the ones not for this year, because the committee chair may still be in panic mode trying to shore up who are the lion leaders, but to work with parents, parent by parent, leader by leader, and find out what they might want to do next year. And part of that could be by discussing what activities would we like to do. Part of that would be, you know, talking to den leaders, finding out their plans and who they see who might be good to step in as a leader or assistant, and see if you can get people to join the team, because I think it is a real tendency on the part of some parents when they see, you know, somebody step up as den leader, they're like, my work is done. I can drop off my kid now. But if you have somebody who's a leadership person on the committee whose sole role is to find future leaders and talk to each parent about how they can help, that may help you fill out those roles on the in the dens and in the PAC so that you have a full team operating. Some other ideas. Everything else that's on the Turning Parents into Leaders page, which includes some of these ideas in the 50 ways to lure a leader attachments and in the video there, will also make it easy to have succession planning. Because if you give people what I call a little task, then they can maybe do something more after they succeed at a small job, especially if they really liked what they were doing. Other thoughts I have, I should have mentioned earlier that in terms of having a plan for the future, you know, sharing what it is you do, if you know that in the next year or two, you should be passing on your role to somebody, putting the nuts and bolts of that down so that somebody can easily pick up the baton and not have to text you every time they run into something can be super useful. We're actually putting together, or I'm putting together in our troop, a massive overhaul of our troop operating manual that outlines how our troop actually operates within the BSA structure, because not every troop meets every week. Not every troop is going to have a different approach to how they do courts of honor, advancement, fundraising, etc. And so putting all that down, including, things that get done behind the scenes, like in our case, using Troop Master or ways to do record advancement, all of those little nuts and bolts can be super helpful so that you can put it together in one place and share it with the team that may follow you. But this site is going to be super useful. It will have a lot of ways to help you with recruiting leaders now and succession planning, which is recruiting leaders in the future. Ben, do you want to add anything? And Stephen, are there any questions?
I'm just listening in. You're doing well, Bert. Thank you.
All right. Well, the bottom line in all of this is do your best. Just because you may see official BSA materials that show Cub Scout packs doing all sorts of things and weekly meetings and all of that, if that's too much for your current leader team and is burning them out, do what makes sense for your team. Keep it simple and make it fun. That's going to allow people to do their best and to be more engaged, because if they're doing things that they like, that's great. And then along the lines of the Atlanta Area Council mantra of we're building stronger families through scouting, just keep in mind that the best gift you can give a Cub Scout is to get their parents involved. And that's an old Bill Smith quote from a guy who was a great Cub Scout leader of 20 some years ago, and has written a lot of stuff that's still out there on the interwebs. And he's absolutely right. We are not in it to provide, program for kids as much as we are program for families to make them stronger and have their kids love their parents more and the parents love their kids more. So that should be our goal. All right.
Bert, I will stop the recording. So just want to say before we end it, this is our official last series that'll be done live. We will be sharing these videos elsewhere so everybody will have access to them, but just wanted to let everybody know. And with that.
All right. Thank you.